Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel and today's video. So the Swedish word of the day is ranking, which is the Swedish ranka. Ranka. So today I'm gonna rank my 11 latest purchases. A lot of these palettes I've had for a long time, like since Black Friday. So you guys know I'm trying not to purchase as much as I have. I know I keep saying it, but it's the truth. But I still wanted to do this video and I didn't want to have like 2 palettes. So I thought that I would show you guys some palettes I bought and then also in PR. I'm just gonna show you all of the palettes that we're gonna rank. And then you are going to pause this video if you want to. And you can tell me which one you think is gonna be the favorite and then the least favorite. Don't worry, I don't have these in order. So just so you know that. But we have the Anastasia Beverly Hills Jackie Aina palette. We have 2 ColourPop palettes, the Going Coconuts and the Flutter By. We have the Colored Rain Safari Rain palette, the Anastasia Beverly Hills Amrezy and the Natasha Denona Love palette. We have the Urban Decay Naked Honey palette. We have the Lunar Beauty Moon Spell palette. We have 2 LA Girl Pro palettes. So we have the Mastery palette and the Artistry palette. And the last one is the Oden's Eye Elva palette. So yeah, just leave your comments down below. So I just sorted out all of my palettes and let me tell you, it was tough. I definitely know which my 2 favorites, 3 favorite is, but I don't, it was much harder getting to the middle and the end, like which one do I want to put in the bottom. I have no idea. My top 3 was like a given. I knew that it's these ones. So I just want to say that I like all of these palettes. I don't dislike any of them. This is the placement that I picked and now I'm kind of regretting it. I'm like, no, I need to change. Okay, let's just hop into it. So in the bottom, and I'm so sorry, this is not a bad palette, but this is actually a palette that I've only used once. This is from LA Girl and this is the Pro Artistry palette. I didn't think so either. So this is what it looks like. It's beautiful. Maybe if I used it a little bit more, I would rank it higher, but as of right now, it stands here. I love the look that I have created with this, but I feel like this is a little bit more of a folly palette, which isn't really why, or which is why I haven't really dived into it a little bit more. I love the fact that you get like neutrals, but then also some grungier blues, greens, and colorful looks or shadows. It's almost, it kind of reminds me of the Juvia's Place Masquerade palette with the neutrals, but my kind of neutrals, and then the colorful ones, but a little bit more towards the grungier side. So again, not a bad palette. It's just in the bottom. So I just cheated and rearranged again. So hard in the bottoms right here, so tough. So just know that this is just for fun. It's like playing with your children, like trying to rank your children. It's impossible, okay? So, okay, I changed it up. ColourPop Flutter By palette. I love this palette. This is so unique to my collection. I have nothing like this palette, nothing like it. But I feel like you kind of get very similar looks with it. The thing is that I only reach for like this shimmer because I feel like this shimmer screams me. It is a very light shimmer that has a little bit of a pink tint to it, and the mattes are just beautiful. They have a pressed glitter here. If you are not aware of that or don't like that, or if you do like that, then you know. I could have just gone with these shadows and I could have been done. But yeah, I love this palette. I think that this is like a great everyday palette if you love cool tones but you don't want to wear grays and cool tone browns and such. This is like a beautiful mauve palette and I have nothing like it. Then I am going to take, okay, yeah, again, this is so hard. 9th place is the Elva palette from Oden's Eye. This is a beautiful palette. I have a review video of it that I can link right up here in case you want to. So this is what it looks like, and the reason why I'm ranking it this low is because of the fact that it only contains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shimmers. No, 6 mattes, I mean. And you have this yellow and then you have these mauvier tones, which means that you can't really do that much of different looks with it. It's kind of the shimmers that is going to make the look a little bit different, and a lot of the shimmers kind of resembles each other. So that's the only reason why, because it contains 16 shadows. So I feel like you should be able to do a variated, you should be able to do variations of looks, but I kind of feel like you're a little bit limited when it comes to this palette. Then we have the Lunar Beauty Moonspell palette on the 8th place. I have a hair in my eye. If it was a contest of which palette is the most beautiful, like which palette has the best packaging, this would have won, because this is like 10 out of 10. It's so pretty and it looks like a book, so neatly, like so nice. And then when you open it up, it looks like this. But for some reason I struggle to come up with looks with this palette. I kind of need to force myself to put it in one of my Shop My Stash and really use it, because I definitely think that you can get so many beautiful looks with this palette if you just sit down and try. I can imagine just taking this in my crease and then this on the entire lid would be so pretty, or even like this brown and then this on the entire lid, like just doing like super easy looks. I feel like sometimes I complicate things, so I think that I would rank this higher if I were putting this in my Shop My Stash and really tested it out, which is something that I will do soon. Then we have the Going Coconuts palette from Colourpop. This one is one of my favorite neutral palettes. It's so beautiful. Again, the tones of this is so pretty. It's neutral, but it also has a lot of cool tones. This shade is so pretty. The shimmers are just right up my alley. They are perfect. Like this Cocoa Crush. I used this palette the entire winter. I did multiple Instagram looks with it, and I just couldn't get enough of it. I bought this because everyone on YouTube were raving about it, and I understand why. Again, like, such an underestimated palette. If you wanted like a neutral palette but didn't want to pay a lot of money, then this one. The one con with these is that they are in plastic packaging and they get so beat up. I mean, I'm sometimes a little bit ashamed about how my makeup looks because it looks brutal. I think that this is gonna surprise a lot of you guys, but then it's actually the Jackie Aina palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I know that people keep raving about this, and when I use it, I love it. But the browns in this one isn't really my tone, and a lot of the shimmers aren't my tones either. What I love about it is like the pinkier tones right up here. I think that they are spot on. They're so pretty. I love a lot of the tones in this one, but it leans a little bit almost too warm for me. Like this shade Ginger is almost a little bit too warm for me. The same thing with edges. I know that this were created to fit a deeper complexion, which is totally fine. I'm not complaining. I'm just stating my kind of thing. I feel like this is a little bit more of like a fall palette and not an everyday palette. I still love the quality of it and I still think that it's so unique. But again, it's just sometimes when I want to do a little bit more of a neutral look with this palette, I feel like I kind of struggle and I don't love the end result. I think that it's okay and I don't think it's ugly. It's just not like a look that you look in the mirror and you're like, wow, that looks so good, you know? But it's not a bad palette at all. So now we're coming into the top 5, and this is in the bottom. So this is on the 5th place is the LA Girl Mastery palette. This is a beautiful palette, you guys. I love the quality of this palette, and I also really love the tones of this palette. When I actually got both of these in PR, and when I got them in PR, I was so much more drawn towards the Artistry palette, but this one is the one that I reach for the most because it has a lot of these tones that I'm obsessed with right now, like the rosier tones and the a little bit more like this salmony pink. It's so pretty. And also the shimmers are really pretty. They're so good, and I would not have expected this to be this affordable. Oops. Like here you just have swatches of 3 shimmers. They're really good. I definitely recommend this palette if you were looking for something a little bit more rosier, but affordable. You get a lot of product. You get a ginormous mirror, which I know that a lot of you guys like. They are very, very sturdy. You get all of the shades on the back, and then you also have some brown tones in case you wanted to do like something a little bit more neutral, and then just a quick shimmer on the lid if you didn't want to use like these pinkier tones one day. Phenomenal. But the reason why it's a little bit further down is because I feel like it's not enough of variation in this palette. Like they could have added in like a deep purple or something like that, but it's a little bit more leaning towards the pink side. And obviously they weren't going for purple, they were going for pink, but just my thoughts. On the 4th place, we have the Colored Rain Safari Rain palette. And when it comes to formula, this is the best. I want to swatch the shade Lioness for you. Look at that. Just look at that and tell me that you're not excited to purchase this. These shimmers is what makes this palette so good. This palette, or these shimmers I mean, are like liquid shadows. They are insane. I've used this shade so much. I did a super cute look with this in my crease and then this on the entire lid because I just thought that it was so pretty. This one is a little bit more of like a grown-up to the Juvia's Place Tribe palette, if you were wondering about that. Like this, I would say, is a little bit more of that muted grungier tones, versus the Tribe palette that is a little bit more of the colorful and playful sister. But this one, like I have loved this. I've loved this so much, but I feel like again it's a little bit more fall-y, but I kind of want to take this out because I think that this and this is like super summery, and I love it. On the 3rd place, we have the Urban Decay Naked Honey palette. Formula wise, out of all of this, the Colored Rain won when it came to the shimmers. The mattes goes to the Naked Honey palette because the mattes are out of this world. And I actually use this palette all the time off camera. You never see it, not even when I do like my Shop My Stash. I a lot of the times take colorful palettes or stuff like that, and then I kind of just take this palette as well, because a lot of the times some palettes, like for instance, let's just take the Jackie Aina palette. You guys saw that they were a little bit more of that deeper shades, and a lot of the times I feel like for my skin tone there isn't really a good blending shade or a transition shade, so I dip into this palette. I also feel like it has this shade that I absolutely love, which is a little bit more towards the pinkier side, and this one is a little bit more to the yellower side. They have a bunch of different variations, and this palette is just everything to me. I'm so happy that I picked it up. It's such a great palette. It's not a palette that you will be able to do a bunch of different looks with and get a bunch of different variation of looks with. You will get a warm toned look, but it's a great palette if this is something that you're looking for, if you wanted something that is a little bit more like work friendly or neutral or just warm tone in general, but has a little bit more of that like mustardy tones to it. So now we are at the top 2, and this is really exciting to me. The 2nd place is the Natasha Denona Love palette. I freaking adore this palette so much. I think that this palette is so cute, and the funny thing is, I've said this before, but when she revealed her Love collection, I was firstly drawn towards the blush palette and not this one. When I saw it, I was like, no, it's not really my cup of tea. It's not my tones. I don't like them. And then I saw people do looks with this palette, and I saw people use the blush palette, and I was like, okay, the blush palette, it's not for me, but this one, however, seems to be my kind of thing. And I am actually like, I'm just so in love with it, and I was a little bit unsure about it because, you know, I can't really swatch Natasha Denona, so I can't go to store and purchase it. I have to purchase most of the makeup that I purchase online. So when I placed an order for this, I saw that some people loved it, some people hated it, but I went off the recommendations of people where I have purchased things that they have recommended before that I have really enjoyed. And when I got it, I was so pleasantly surprised. Especially like these shades right here, they are so beautiful. They kind of remind me of the now Shroud, but before they were called, Strobe Cosmetics, the Creepy Cute palette. You guys know that they look so smooth on the lids. If you just pack them on the entire lid, they just look smooth and not like dry and crusty. And these just remind me of it. I've done so many pretty looks, and I feel like even though it is a pinkier, purpley palette, I feel like you can get way more different looks with this palette than, for instance, the LA Girl palette that I showed you guys. But still, the LA Girl one is a lot more affordable and this isn't, but it's just bae. So if you didn't guess it, my Amrezy palette is on top. This palette is probably my favorite from the entire year. This one, and okay, I got this year, but I also love, my two favorites this year is actually the Kaleidos Electro Turquoise palette, because I've loved all of the looks that I've gotten with that palette. But okay, this is what it looks like. I will say that I don't use every single shadow in this palette, so I don't use the pressed glitters. I think I used the shade Liddy once, and then I don't use the shade Dragon. It's not really my kind of color. I don't love like the orangey shimmers. I usually go for the pinkier ones, which you obviously can tell. I have hit pan in the shade Barb, and I have come to realize that I will, when I use it up, I will repurchase the palette and then just take the shade Barb from that palette, because it's way more crumbly than the other shades, so you will go through that so much quicker than the mattes and the shimmers, the other shimmers. But to me, this is like a perfect palette for an everyday. A lot of the times I use the neutral shades and then like the shade Georgina on the lid. Sometimes just take the shade Anastasia, and okay, every single look I do, if I use these tones, I use the shade Barb because I kind of have to. But the tones are just out of this world. They are so beautiful, they're so pretty, and I feel like they did a spot-on job with it. One thing, these two are very similar. So what I usually do is that I take the shade OG and Wasted and I blend them together so I get my perfect crease color. And I feel like when I've run out of this one, because I prefer this one over this one, I will start using this one. But as of right now, I'm not using this one because I feel like they're too similar. The shade Semsa is very close to the shade Love Letter, but it is a little bit more compact. So it's harder pressed than the shade Love Letter, which is a little bit more crumbly, but they're still like phenomenal. I love that they included the shade BK, which is the black one. And I love every single look that I do with this palette, and I don't have to think about it when I am using it. So it's bae, it's my favorite. And I will say that I have ranked these palettes different days, and every single day the Amrezy palette has come on top, but the other palettes has changed place. So yeah, just know I love my Amrezy palette. The other ones I can jumble up a little bit, like back and forth, kind of depends, but I love all of the palettes. I recommend all of the palettes if you've wanted to purchase them. They are all a fantastic formula and quality, except for the LA Girl Artistry palette, because that one I've only used once. I love the formula, but if it is the same formula as the Mustard palette, then yes, I would definitely recommend it, but I'm pretty sure it is because it feels like it. But yeah, that was all from me today. If you liked this video, give me a little thumbs up. If you did not enjoy this video, give me a thumbs down. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!